Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 102 of Games My Mom Found. I am Mike Albertin, and who's drinking coffee with me tonight?
Michael K. Hughes. Please, call me Michael. That's what everyone calls me.
Helena.
And our special guest.
I'm Elise.
Hi, welcome aboard. And where might people know you from?
So I'm a reporter at the Washington Post. I was formerly at Game Informer. But yeah, now I'm at the Post at Launcher, which is our video games vertical. So I've been doing that for the past year. And people can find me on Twitter at Elise Bavis.
Thank you for joining us on a very, very weird game.
Very weird, very charming at the same time.
Yeah, I'll go with that too. And before I go too far, I should say first, I think I should introduce what game we're playing. We're going to be talking about Deadly Premonition from Access Games, came out in 2010. Okay.
On my birthday in 2010, February 23rd, which I knew about for the last 15 minutes or so.
Oh, and I should put a trigger warning, disclaimer, one of those words, that we are going to get in some talk about sexual assault. We're going to talk about really weird stuff.
Child abuse.
Child abuse, yeah. That does not make you tough when you get, it's just child abuse. I like that line. When he says that, I'm like, yeah. Just so we're going to get some deep stuff. So you've been warned. Anything else I should say that we're going to talk about that is something that should be warning?
I don't think so. I think that kind of covers it, right?
Midwestern rural towns.
Okay, we'll go with that. I mean, that does fit. Does fit the game. So we played this game just because this was an older pick that is still on here because of Helena ended up guessing on it. So I'm like, okay, we'll keep it because otherwise I would have picked. I wasn't so sure about playing this game again. Because this game is creepy. So, did you guys play this game back when it came out in 2010 or 2011, around that time?
No, I played it a little later, like maybe a few years later. I actually played part of it with Helena at some point.
Yeah, the first time I played it was with Elise. So,
that was a few years ago. But yeah, so I don't know exactly what year I started actually playing it, but it's been a bit of time.
I own it. Like, I got it pre-owned at some point. I don't remember picking this up. It must have been word of mouth because that cover is not doing it any favors. I sure wouldn't have picked it up based on that.
No, not you.
I totally would have. I love the cover.
That tracks.
You hate horror, so.
Oh, yeah.
So I want to tell you, Mike. So Lise, I come on the show when Mike has a good horror episode because that's my favorite genre now. But like Mike, as backstory, I did not used to play horror until Elise got me into it.
Oh wow!
Oh, I didn't know that. Shoot.
Yeah. Well, I was such a scare baby before we started gaming, and now that's the only genre I want to play. So it's all your fault.
That's awesome.
Well, you're welcome. Horror's the best.
The one genre I try to stay far away from, yet I've covered way too much of it on this show.
That I forced you into.
You were forcing me to play Resident Evil 7 next year, but that's about it. I'm okay with that. That's a good game, from what I remember. So I actually bought this game on release day because it was $20, and I saw an ad. Wow. And I was like,
"Oh, really?"
It was $20 when it came out.
Wow!
And I picked it up that day. I don't know why. I don't remember what. I just remember biking to GameStop and picking it up because I didn't have a car. That's what and I remember playing it and being like really weird as hell and realized I can't play this in front of my son.
At least you learned that right away.
Oh yeah, real quick. Because at first I'm like, oh, this ain't so bad, and then all of a sudden when the shadows come up, I'm like, oh, we're done. Putting this away. It's a freaky ass game with the comes to fighting, but it's also so this game is a third person shooter, but not really.
In quotations, I guess. It wasn't originally supposed to have combat from what I read, and the publisher looked at it and was like, oh, you need to throw some combat in there.
So
or else
that's
it's
why
not
the
gonna
combat
sell.
is so bad.
Exactly. It was an afterthought.
I mean, which makes sense, because this game is all about the story. Like, even the story... Does the story start out in the Red Room, if I'm remembering correctly?
Yes.
Yeah, it does.
Did we talk about spoilers? There's going to be spoilers if we didn't.
I feel like it's hard to get around spoilers if we're talking about this game.
Yeah.
Spoilers. We spoil everything in this show.
You would think people would learn at this point, but I mean, just to be safe.
Yeah, I try to say it. Like, hell, I covered that one game, Summerland, that came out that same day, so. Spoilers for Deadly Premonition. So you've been warned. Yeah, I can't talk today.
Perfect for a podcast.
So even like the way that this game starts off, it's very Twin Peaks. It's inspired completely by Twin Peaks, which I've never completely seen all the way through for some reason.
That's interesting. I didn't realize that.
It's got that weird kind of quirky vibe, and it feels like it's a mix of like Twin Peaks and almost like the video game version of The Room.
Oh my god, yeah.
Totally see that.
I wish I sort of get that reference, but I've never seen The Room.
Oh
I'm so
god,
sorry.
Why
not?
You need to just for Tommy Wiseau. It's just what a mess.
Terrible.
Yeah, it's that same kind of reputation of it's so bad it's good, but also like the awfulness kind of makes for charm.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I thought of The Room.
Because this is a lot of
some kind of cult following.
Yeah.
So bad it's good.
I mean,
that is so right on for it.
This game, I was going, like, when we first, like, I did not want to play this for the show. I was very upset that I had to play this and at first, but it's just like the way, because partly, I guess, there's a lot of talking. I was calling this game Metal Gear Premonition a couple different times when I was talking about it.
No, I got Metal Gear Solid 3 vibes, like, immediately in that first cutscene where the twins find Anna, and it's like, the white snake crawling around her, and everything looks like PS2 textures. I'm like, this is Metal Gear.
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, even aesthetically, it definitely looks like it.
But the music is just straight jazz.
Oh my god, the music! I'm excited to talk about the music.
Like, this is the one episode where I wish we could have music samples in the episode, just so we can put that "Life Is Beautiful" whistling theme, because it's so good.
Oh my god! So like, I've been rewatching some of the cutscenes, and like every time I go to bed now, there's just that whistle theme in my head as I try to sleep.
It's amazing.
I forgot about that whistling until I loaded this up on PC, and I'm like, oh yeah, this again.
It just comes like it's every second scene. I swear to God.
Because I think the first time you hear it is when York is having breakfast with the inn lady.
At the hotel.
Penny?
Polly, yeah.
And the music started playing. I'm like, well, that's a tonal shift. What is this game?
Yeah, I think that was the moment for me too. Like when you meet Polly with her bad posture, and I was just like, this game is, I don't know what it's doing, and I don't know how to feel about it yet, but I'm digging it, I guess.
She has severe scoliosis. I am concerned about her spine.
That poor woman.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
York is also like super rude to her, like all the time.
Yeah.
They take turns ignoring each other. It's kind of fitting.
Yeah.
He's kind of an asshole to most people, though.
He is. He's very blunt. I don't think he thinks he's an asshole at all. I think it just comes that way. Like, I think it's just his personality. He's just like very to the point, very blunt, and then like it puts people off.
Well, I mean, if you were all of a sudden talking to someone, you just put your hand on your mouth, turn your face a little bit, and start talking to someone else that's not even there. Like, wow, this guy really does not like me.
That's more than rude, though. That's just insane.
I love they just brush over that right away. Like, hey, don't ask me about Zach, all right? Or just, I don't want to talk about it.
Right.
When I first played this, I thought I was Zach. I thought, okay, he's talking to the player, and he's talking quietly where they can't hear him. But then I realized very quickly, like, no, they can hear him just fine.
I feel like that's the idea.
I think he is, though. Yeah.
Yeah, where it's kind of a audience surrogate, so they can dump exposition on you without just being weird about it. Well, a different kind of weird, I guess.
It like kind of works, but also kind of doesn't, because it also sort of falls apart in that ending if like where the player doesn't completely make sense. But yeah.
Y'all, I'm ready to psychology the shit out of this. However, if we want to wait until later on in the game to go into my theory about that.
Is this going to be like a Silent Hill 2 episode all over again?
Yes. Of course it is.
That's still my favorite episode we've done. It was good.
Aw, thanks, man.
But so, like, I want to say, doesn't this game start off with the showing the scene of her on the tree? Oh, yeah, that's in the intro credits.
Yeah.
It's really messed up too, where you just see a blonde girl tied up to a tree, cut open with a dress or something like wrapped around her, and it's
This game gets grotesque. Kind of like I don't know if you guys have watched Hannibal. The new the television one that came out like a couple years ago. Yeah, like the kind of very grotesque killings made me think a lot of that.
It's very artistic, like
like very creative.
And yeah, okay, so like here's a fun side note about me. I'm really interested in serial killers, and like autopsies and all of that kind of creepy stuff. So the thing that struck me about Anna was that she was positioned very ritualistically. And like, so if you think about like Christian influences, of course she looks like she's on the cross, but the way she's displayed when killers like bear the body like that, it's pretty much like an act of hubris, like a big fuck you to anyone who looks at it like, I did this because I'm God and I can kill anyone.
Oh,
My wife and I have been...
That actually makes sense with the game, like the story as well, where it goes. Huh. That's a neat note.
My wife and I have been watching Castle lately, and there's a lot of that in that show.
Hey, so when are you going to watch Hannibal with your wife?
Maybe after Castle, but I'll let you know.
Yeah. It's really good. I mean, it's just like, I don't know. I think, and I had forgotten how grotesque some of the killings were and how like violent this game gets. I had forgotten all that since it's been 10 years.
Yeah. The sound effects too that go with the like, you know, some of them are like wrapped in like barbed wire and stuff, and you kind of hear the wires and stuff. Like, oh, everything about it is so uncomfortable. And it holds up. Like they're gross and scary moments.
That's Becky, right? That's surrounded by all the wires. Man, that scene is tense. Like, I was actually on edge.
Yeah, me too.
This whole game does that. Like, I like how it's interesting how it jumps around a lot. Like, you have these scenes where you're tracking down the killer, or you find a murder scene, like we're talking about, and then it goes away from that, and you're running around a town doing random side quests, working at a grocery store, pushing crates around. I know it's very video gamey, but still, like, it just feels so odd in this game, but at the same time, it works.
Yeah. And then we take a break and go into Grand Theft Auto for a little bit too.
But I like it that it changes so much that it's just, you are in this town, you're an FBI agent that's here because this murder happened and it's very odd, so they send in the FBI and they send in one agent, and you're just here trying to follow this case, and as weird things keep happening, but again, it's kind of normal to you, and it's all because I think it was pretty quickly they realized that she had the red seeds in her mouth.
Yeah, that's why he works here, because it ties into the other killings he had been working on that had the red seeds involved with them.
So, quick question: when does the game take place? Is it set in 2010, or is it earlier than that?
I want to say it's 2007.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like early 2000s, right? Because then they mentioned the 1950s at one point.
Because I think the second game is a prequel, and it takes place the year before.
Okay.
I think.
So, yeah, it strikes me as weird that the FBI would only send one person and a criminal profiler before having that seed. And, like, this is dumb and nitpicky, but, like, I feel like they would send more than one person and definitely conduct their own autopsy. Not because a criminal profiler is not trained in autopsies. That part really killed me in this game.
See, I wouldn't have known that part or really thought much about it.
I thought a lot about it. I was really angry about it.
I was angry about other parts of this game.
Well, okay. So the autopsy, it's right at the beginning, like after they take the victim Anna's body in, and the mortician or the person performing the autopsy is like, yeah, we noticed this thing in her hands and her stomach is cut open and her mouth was open. And like, then you play as York and you look at her and perform your own autopsy and then find the exact same things as the guy just said.
Oh gosh, yeah.
But then he's a dick about it, and he's like, but I also noticed that her tongue is missing. It's the kiss of death.
Oh, man. When you find out why her tongue's missing, I'm just like, ugh.
Yeah.
So, like, when you're replaying this game, after you kind of, like, the story beat, there are so many little things that hint at you that keep trying to tell you, like, hey, why don't you look over here? And it didn't click. Like, early on, your car crashes, and because you end up seeing the raincoat killer, which I am still trying to figure out if the murderer actually put the raincoat on, or just a idea that it was showing off in when he went to Silent Hill every so often. I can't really tell. So, I mean, that's how I took it. I always took it as the actual killer was putting on the raincoat till I was playing the game this time, and I watched somebody talk about this, said it's supposed to be like a representation of the killer, not actually the killer wearing a raincoat.
Huh.
I think.
I saw a lot of back and forth about that online, about the killer as well. Like, if there actually was one there or not.
Well, I mean, there are hints of, like, other characters that are missing at the same time that you're off running around in Crazy Land that could fit that what's going on.
I still don't fully understand what the hell the Silent Hill areas are.
My understanding is that he has a psychic connection to the spiritual world, that when he goes to these places, he's not actually in the place. He's like the spiritual world grabs him and pulls him into Silent Hill, or Foggy World they call it, whatever the hell they call it. And he's able to see clues of what's going on, and he's fighting the shadows of the people that died in this town. Is that what somebody I was listening to online talked about it, and I was kind of, okay, this kind of makes sense.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I was really confused.
So is his body still in the real world? Is he just like staring at a wall for the entire time he's in this place?
His eyes rolling back.
My theory is that he's dissociating during those episodes, and that his brain is trying to work out or like process what he's been seeing, and so that's kind of his way of working it out, is that he has this really rich interior life where he imagines all these scenarios that help him like unpack what he's seeing.
That's a good way to put it.
I really like that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Especially as the story goes on, you understand like who York is and who Zach is and why, what's happening.
Yeah.
Like that makes sense.
It does make sense.
Yeah, especially with folks who have really significant trauma. It's very normal to live like a very daydreamy life.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I mean, that's what this game is a lot of, like him just, not accepting or not being fazed by what's happening because he's already had such trauma happen to him and he's not there completely.
Yeah, and some that he's completely, pushed out of his head, right?
Yeah.
Until the end, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Man, because if he could remember what happened, then the whole game would have been over like halfway through.
Right?
It's the bullet just ripped, so we're done. Game over.
Right, come on, York, get your shit together.
Years ago, we're done. So yeah.
Then you would have had the final boss in Polly's Inn, and that would have been weird. The final boss fight
would have been a very, very short game.
I would have liked it more.
I wish it was like a Far Cry 4 where you could just sit there at the beginning and you get a totally different ending. I wish it was like if you went in with the knowledge and it like gives you the option to just shoot the person you know is wrong, and it just gives you credits.
I love Far Cry 4 for that secret ending.
Oh, it's so good. I love that game.
It's so brilliant.
So yeah, York gets to GreenVale, and then he meets Emily Wyatt and George Woodman, who are the sheriffs of the town.
I'm a big fan of.
Emily is amazing, and George sucks.
Yeah.
So
I agree with that wholeheartedly. I love Emily. I really do.
I think everyone loves Emily, and I didn't expect it to be like the crux of the story that you're supposed to love Emily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like for an early 360 character model, hers is among the best. It's kind of crazy the amount of attention they gave her, and turns out there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get there, but I have problems. No, I remembered that. Like Mike was playing this game before I started, and he's like, "Oh, I got the Emily." I'm like, "Oh yeah, Emily's great."
She's the most like sensible too. So it's easy to like when everyone else is just kind of out of their minds, or like she's the most down to earth. So I think it's easier to relate to Emily because she's a lot of the time when like George says something's crazy or York says something crazy, she's kind of like, "What is wrong with you guys? No, we shouldn't do that." So I'm just like, yes, Emily, yes.
I like that too. You are right. Like, because George, he's crazy because he knows what's going on. So he's like trying to cover things. You notice that he's like trying to sweep things under the rug sometimes. And York's just, I don't know what's up with York half the time in this game. Not a very good profiler sometimes.
No, he's not. He's a terrible profiler.
There's a scene, when you were talking about the autopsy, there's a scene that didn't really click with me. It clicked with me this time. The first time I didn't get it because you're not supposed to. Where he's like, "Oh, a passionate man killed this woman," and he's like, "George, you're a passionate man." It's like, what are you saying? And I'm like, I like that part. It made so much more sense this time playing through.
Yeah, I mean, like he was right, but also like a passionate man. Shut up.
It's stupid. It's like, I mean, the man cut out her tongue. Cut her open. I don't think the word passionate is the word that I would be looking for when I'm
exactly. Why are we romanticizing that, like,
It's a good thing
extreme violence?
Good thing it wasn't a pretentious man that killed her, or else people suspect York.
It's one of those weird, like, it's just there as, as to kind of, if you know the story, you know the story, but it felt like, did that really, just say, a man that's deranged or, dehinge or so many other words I felt would have worked.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because, God, killing somebody like that, to be that, I know the killer's doing it because it's ritualistic and they think they're going to become a god, but still, to be able to cut a person open, I think you have to be pretty messed up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a pretty visceral way to kill someone. And, they said it was just one clean cut from the top to the bottom, which, do you know how much, effort that takes to cut someone for that
Not
far?
Personally.
No. Yeah, that is some commitment.
Right, yeah.
Or a really sharp knife.
Both.
Yeah, these deaths take a lot of dedication, right?
Yeah.
So I guess they kind of are a crime of passion of sort, right? But calling the killer a passionate man, I agree, definitely glorifies the killings.
Well, as my wife just messaged me because she's listening to me talk, she said there are different kinds of passion. It's not always associated with love and lust.
That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
It is fair.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He's just like this terrible art student. He's like, gosh, I'm just making my art.
I just want to paint passion. Jeez.
Oh, but that's the other thing. It's like all the murders. I think there's 4. I want to say 3 or 4 girls that get killed, not including the final stuff.
I don't remember the exact number.
I know it's Becky. It's Diane.
Carol.
Yeah.
Diane, okay. Diane's commitment to art when she had been hanging from the ceiling and they dropped her down and she starts looking at the statue and she's like, well, this statue.
Oh man.
You'd want this to penetrate
It's
you.
an uncomfortable scene.
Her tongue is missing. I'm like, ma'am, how much adrenaline do you have in your system right now?
How are you even talking?
Spitting blood all the while. Ugh.
Right.
Is Diane's the one that's above? It's in the art museum that's hanging up above the statue, right?
Yeah.
First thing, how the hell did they tie her up there that quickly?
Was my first thought too. How? Not even quickly. How? Without building a ladder and a scaffolding and all this crap? No way.
Yeah, it's impossible.
That's the one that kind of got me. I'm like, I can buy the others. With you find out with the first girl that I can't remember her name all of a sudden.
Anna,
that she was taken somewhere else and killed ritualistically, and you find out that she was drugged, and that's why he was able to kill her. And then Diane, the one that really got me, because I don't think she was drugged. I can't remember. It's a weird thing to jump back and forth where you find out they're drugging these people before they kill them with red seeds that overdose you or something. I guess.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when I first played this game, there's a scene later on where you find out that the red seeds make you hallucinate and are an aphrodisiac, and then there's certain lines the character makes, I know just how to make those seeds sprout, and I'm like, yeah, we don't get there.
Yeah,
I don't want to get there yet.
I don't want to get there at all.
10 years ago, but it clicked 2020.
Yeah.
I'm like, no.
Pretty gross.
So Anna's name, her name is Anna Graham. And I thought that it was a nudge anagram. So I went through this entire game looking at people's names, well, do I rearrange it and it spells out raincoat or something? And nothing. It's just coincidence, apparently.
Well, I do know that some of the things are based on Twin Peaks items. I know some of the buildings are based on Twin Peak locations from the show.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because this is set in Washington State, I want to say.
Is there an anagram in Twin Peaks?
I'd have to have watched it all to tell you that.
Okay.
I don't know. I just know Twin Peaks is loved and is very quirky, but I don't think it's anagram. It does have a lot of weird stuff. It does have the Red Room type thing where he's in his head. That's in Twin Peaks, something of that nature.
Yeah, I think it's actually called the Red Room.
It is.
Yeah. And I think it's the second killing we kind of mentioned a little bit. Is it Becky, the one where she's in her mansion of a house and he ties her up with ropes?
Right.
That one gets me okay, that's the one you guys are talking about where she's starting to spit out the blood, or was that Diane? No,
that's Diane.
Mm-hmm.
Becky's the one that has a key somehow shoved down her throat that you need to open up a thing that she spits out when she dies, which makes no sense, but video games.
Which George insisting on cutting the wire there, and York's telling him, no, don't do it, and then it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So how much time would it take to set up a trap like that? like that's another one where like I mean it's not as like elaborate as the Diane murder, but still like that would take a lot of time to put all those ropes. I feel like just like that.
It's a lot of time, and also like your victim has to be very compliant, and everything has to happen perfectly in order for that to happen. Which in the real world, it's not going to happen like that. I sound like a serial killer. I swear I'm not. But like,
well, too late. You're on some kind of watch list now.
God damn it.
Yeah, there is just so much. There must be so much planning involved there. I mean, it made me think of Saw too, in a way. Just like, very elaborate traps, and some with triggers. That are like like we're talking about with Becky. The wire is cut. And that sets things off. So, yeah, I don't know. It's like, I wonder if, like, just like Saw, like, it's kind of like a game for the murderer.
Well, it's all part of his whole, like, the whole point of the murderer is to do the ceremony so that way he can become eternal life or something.
But it doesn't have to be as elaborate, though. Like, we see what the ritual needs, right? It doesn't ask for these sort of extra steps of, like, artistic kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. It's because he's passionate.
Right.
A little crazy.
Yeah,
just a little crazy.
Exactly.
A passionate man, indeed.
The part that really got me about George, where I was like, just one thing that really got me about George, I want to say, is like, there's one part when you're talking to him, things are still normal in the game, and you find out that he wanted to date Emily when she first came to town. She was 16. I'm like, okay, and like, oh, and he was 32. I'm like, yeah, yeah, okay. That made me like that character even less. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, okay, so like going back to this like passionate man thing, if you look at all the killers in the game, they all have severe mommy issues and all have like issues with women. And we also see that in the way that they perpetrate sexual violence towards women and like the tearing out of their tongues. So I think like calling on passionate when honestly they just need to go talk to a therapist about their mommy issues is an overstatement.
There is a fair amount of sexism in this game.
Oh,
yeah.
Man, you should really go see a therapist. Man, that's expensive. I think I'm just going to go kill some people.
I'm going to make my own kind of therapy.
Oh.
Involved ritualistic murder. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of sexism in this game.
From York, too. The way he talks to women, the way he talks to Emily, the way he is kind of infatuating over her, and yeah, I don't know.
Sucks.
Just like the scene where he asks to see George and Emily's backs to check for the tattoo, like the whole part with Emily is just like uncomfortable. I'm like, oh god.
And also, like, why would you and the whole reason he's even checking for that picture or checking their back for tattoos because he found a Polaroid picture of a person with a tattoo on their back, and I'm just like,
he's such a bad like FBI agent.
Yeah.
And it's funny because like those moments are like like when he has these really arbitrary clues that he puts together and somehow they make sense. Like that's what like killed me half the time. I was just like, really? You just found like documents in a waterfall like while fishing? What?
His whole profiling system where he can like see bits and pieces of what actually happened, he's got to have some kind of like deadly premonition to be able to actually
Yeah, I don't know what he puts in his coffee, but
FK.
Coke.
Coke's probably more accurate. I like how like we had
none of the game actually happens. He's just drugged up and Polly's in the whole game.
Yeah, that could work though. Like the whole game could just be him hallucinating. And he did. There's a picture.
Yeah.
One of the characters in the inn that he's like, oh well, he just saw that picture, and so he just started hallucinating the whole time.
Yep. It's all just a fever dream.
Sure plays like it.
Honestly.
Accurate.
Yeah, it does kind of play like a... Okay, we got to talk about the cars, and we haven't done that yet. Was it just me that had the car making a terrible... like really loud in my ears where I had to take the freaking headphones, plug it in, and not wear them so I wouldn't hear it?
So you played the director's cut, right, on PC, and apparently each new version of this game somehow makes it just a little bit worse from what I read. Like the 360 original base game is apparently runs the smoothest for some reason. So I didn't have that, but whenever you turn on the siren, the police car just goes brrr. Police car go brrr.
It was terrible. I have not heard a more annoying sound in a very long time in my ears like that while playing the game. Every time I couldn't listen.
Not great.
I mean, other than that, the driving didn't bother me.
No. As long as you don't touch that handbrake. It's like hitting a banana peel in Mario Kart.
Every once in a while, but
I mean, I can crash and no one does anything. They're just like doing their monologue, no big.
Yeah, like I love when in open world games. I mean, this is obviously a completely different scale, but like GTA 5, when they actually will be like, "Oh my God, you're driving like crazy! Why did you just hit that person? Oh my God!" Like, I love the interruptions. Yep. So yeah, this game when it's just like continuous monologue, even though we just like went off the road.
I think York is just so odd. No one wants to deal with him. It's like, oh, that's an FBI guy. He's always talking to himself. Just let him hit whatever he wants. We'll fix it when he leaves.
I mean, it is a small town, and they are a little deranged of a small town. So I mean,
absolutely.
I also don't like small towns at all. But I don't. I can't stand them. I'm a city guy my whole life, and I have to be.
Not every town is Silent Hill, Mike.
I know. I just don't like it. I wouldn't like a town where everybody knows who you are and knows your business and everything.
That's accurate. That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because in this game, like another thing about it, like a lot of the characters are so fleshed out. Like I didn't run into any of them because I didn't do any of the side quests. But you can literally just go up there talking to people at different times of the day, and there's a time system in this game, and you get hungry, and you get tired,
right?
And somehow alcohol makes you not tired, but okay.
And smoking changes your stamina because Emily can run without pausing because she doesn't smoke, but York has to stop.
Oh, huh. I didn't catch that. That makes sense.
Me neither.
Yeah.
I thought he just had to stop because the game didn't want you to run the entire time, but that makes more sense.
Well, but shitty.
Using the siren in the police car also runs up your stamina.
Well, because he's hearing that terrible sound. It's like, oh my God.
Like you can only stand it for so long.
I'm glad my son never played this game because he would have had the siren just playing nonstop.
Oh my God.
It does make you go like 5 miles an hour faster, so.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah, because you top out at like 35 for the normal police cars, and you jam that thing on, you're up to like 40.
It's 50. It slowly takes the SUV, because at one point I took the cop SUV, and then he drove really slow, and I never touched it again.
It's got better turning. I'll give it that.
But it's slow.
It is slow.
I also beat this game originally only using the handgun they give you in this game. I don't know how when I...
That tracks with how you play games.
This time I did not, thankfully. So there's a couple weird things that we kind of have touched on a few of the different murders. I think we have... Which one is Carol? Is Carol's is Thomas's sister?
Yeah.
Okay. That's what we haven't touched on yet.
And she's a singer.
Yes.
The singer. Oh boy.
That's weird. I don't want to get there yet because I don't want to spoil what we're about to. That we have to spoil stuff then. But so one other thing is like this game has a bunch of different mini games you can do in it, which we haven't mentioned. Like you can go fishing, you can just do random side quests that give you items. Like you can get a bunch of different melee weapons, which I never bothered to get because who needs melee when I have a gun? And you can just like there's also so much
no.
Like, melee at all in this game.
The melee weapons are like very strong. They break.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah.
I don't like breaking weapons, by the way. I hate.
Me neither. Thank you.
I can't play. I'm Breath of the Wild.
How do you feel? I was about to ask you how you felt about Breath of the Wild.
I bought it for $60. I played it for 2 days, and I got off the plateau and never touched it again. And my wife still makes fun of me for buying that game for $60 and not liking it. And I love Zelda.
Somewhere in Texas, Bill Tucker is really upset right now, and he doesn't know why.
GreenVale from Game Informer has the same like breakable weapons kind of sentiment.
I can't do it.
Yeah.
I'd be upset.
Yeah,
I like Dark.
Frustrating.
Maybe that was a different person when I played Dark Cloud.
That's okay. You can find out how you feel about it when we play Dead Rising.
So I only use the guns with infinite ammo because I also don't like ammo in this game for some reason. Like if I have a gun with infinite ammo and I have a gun that uses ammo, I don't care how weak it is. I'm going to use the infinite ammo gun because of stupidity in this case. But I did get the infinite SMG, which I thought was cool because when I first played this game, I didn't do any of the side quests either. I didn't realize that there were infinite ammo weapons hidden in here because I just wanted to progress the story. I'm like, well, I'm trying to track down a killer. I should go track down the killer. Unlike if I'm playing a Final Fantasy game and the world's about to end, let's go do all the side quests. But or games, I guess. So did you guys get any of the infinite weapons, Elise?
No. No, I didn't. I didn't really touch the side quests, so I can't talk on that too much.
You didn't miss anything.
Fair enough. That's what
This is one of those games where I definitely did some research before going in because I thought that this was going to be like the worst game we'd played on the show yet. So I'm like, okay, I need to have this kind of outline of what I need to do to make this game as painless as possible. So I got the infinite wrench, the SMG, the flamethrower, and the Magnum for collecting all the bones throughout town. So it helped. It seems like it was the developers' way of compensating for the bad combat since they didn't want it in there at all. It's like, let's give them infinite weapons to make it a little less painless.
Yeah, I feel like the director's cut also adds on to that idea, right? Where there's no more difficulty options, everything's just kind of easier, so you can kind of blast your way through and just get back to the story.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
I don't mind the fake RE4 combat though.
It's fine. It's fine.
Is it?
I hated it at first when we first started playing this for this episode. I was very angry in the first area, but once I got my infinite SMG midway through the game, I was like, okay, I'm fine now. I just hold down the trigger button and everything dies.
But yeah, it's also just fine.
And the way that the shadows hurt you by shoving their arm in your throat, I'm not okay with that.
Yeah, that bothers me.
We haven't talked about the shadows, though.
No.
They're kind of creepy. It's the closest this game really gets to horror. Is the weird, pale-faced, black eyes, moaning creatures that walk bending over backwards towards you.
I don't want to die.
I feel so bad whenever I kill them. I'm just I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you. Well, I did, but also I'm sorry.
And also, you get a headshot, it's like, headshot! And you hear what Wayne was saying.
It's so video gamey and at the same time not.
Mm-hmm.
You get money for headshots. You get money for everything in this game. I got $12 for shaving.
Shaving.
Exactly.
But you lose money if you don't change your clothes and you start to stink. You'll lose money.
Oh my god.
It makes absolutely no sense.
This game has everything, but one of those skits where Stefan from SNL does it. Stinky clothes, shadow moving creatures, and gods who kill women.
You're not wrong.
Checks all the boxes. What else is there?
I saw that bone side quest that you did, Mike, and I was going to try it, but then when I heard that midway through the game they take all your bones if you don't have them all, I was like, yeah, we're done.
Yeah, because it just, at some point, Willie will take however many bones you have. You just have to have them all before then. But they're all on the map. They're pretty easy to find.
But driving sucks.
Nah.
You have to drive a lot, too.
Yeah.
It's just, kind of a drag, to be honest.
Not one of us. Mike, you want to talk about that? You get the fast travel.
Oh, the radio, yeah. From George. Where you get a flower on the side of the road, then you give it to him because it's his mom's favorite flower who is very sick, which, understatement of the year. And, then he gives you the radio, and all you do is use it in your menu, and it pulls up a list of places you've been. You can just fast travel to it. Helps quite a bit.
I never got that.
That's
I'm assuming
amazing.
none of us did.
No.
Besides him.
No.
Yeah. I just know I was in this
I'm
game.
just sitting here being like, I didn't have to drive.
Yeah.
I feel very defeated right now.
But you only have to do it before a certain chapter, otherwise it's not possible anymore.
Okay.
It locks.
I went in with a list of things that was going to make this as easy as possible, and that certainly helped.
And you can only get the flower while it's raining too, otherwise it won't even be on the map.
Right.
It's because nobody will go out in the rain, which I didn't realize that until later on when the rich man tells me because I don't talk to people in the game. So I watched most cutscenes in Metal Gear Premonition when I played it until near the end when I just got tired of it.
Metal Gear Premonition.
It really feels like that when you're not in the mood for a story-heavy game.
This game's... the developers had this way. This game would have been all story and driving around at 40 miles an hour.
You can get the car go faster if you do side quests at the junk shop to get parts to upgrade your car.
Oh, yeah, I did read about that. That I did not do.
I mean, you were fast traveling around. So, hey, that's why George gets around so fast and can cause problems. Yeah, it's just has a radio, the fast travel.
Yeah, I really wish they would remake this game. With what they know now with gaming technology, I think this game could be really amazing.
Yeah,
I agree.
I feel like there are actually genuinely good moments to Deadly Premonition. I don't know, like just York and Emily at that one point talking about their like respective pasts and kind of, you know, bonding and stuff. I don't know. There's just like there are moments where I was just like, yeah, like I dig this a lot, or like just the overarching story in general, and the twin personalities and stuff. So there's a lot to like. There's a lot of ambiguity to the storytelling, which I actually like a lot because that just leaves so much room for interesting theories and stuff. So like remaking it and I don't know, making that combat just a lot better. Which, like it's a hard game to recommend to someone like, hey, you should play this game. It's like, you should watch this game. Watch someone else play this game.
I think I posted an Overblood asking for tips, and someone actually said, "Just you're better off just watching it on YouTube." It's like, don't play it.
It's just not worth. Yeah.
You know, I did not play it. I watched the cutscenes from YouTube, and I watched a little bit of the combat just because I knew it was bad, and like I remember it being bad when Elise and I played it. But my God.
Yep.
Yeah.
The lock-on works really well for an early 360 game, but I guess they had the whole PS2 era to figure that out.
Only in some enemies it doesn't lock on at all. At least in my version, it wasn't locking on things.
Mm-hmm.
The second to last boss, I was trying to lock onto him, and it was aiming like 3 feet in the air above him. Like, well, okay, that's not going to work.
The lock-on system is very bad. The boss fights are oh my God, they're awful.
Yes, they are. Luckily, there's only 3, 4.
There's only a few. They're not difficult, but they're just
tedious.
Yeah, just not well made.
I mean, the main
I'm someone who hates boss fights where it's just like just shoot the enemy over and over again, and that's it. You know, on their weak spot or whatever. It's just okay.
I hate it too. And especially now, I don't like because with this podcast, I don't like repetition in games. Like I don't like mindless. Like we're gonna make this game 3 hours longer just because, and I'm like, no, I don't want to.
Right.
Good thing this didn't come out in 2002.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We had an ongoing joke with 2002 where we played a bunch of bad games from that year, and we keep doing it too.
Yep.
We love pain.
Got another one coming up next week.
Yay.
Yeah, that's a good game. So, like, this story kind of culminates, or as the story progresses, like you find out that this town had a like murderer. The Raincoat murder is not a myth. That there was somebody 50 years ago that committed all these murders, and that like you kind of find out about the gas as the story progresses, where there was somebody like some experiment that went on when it rained, and that's why all the residents hide during the rain. Like I thought that's also very interesting when you get to those points. Like that's what kept me going with this game the first time, where I had to know what was happening.
I feel like it gets so much more interesting in that latter half. Like once Harry gives that whole exposition about the gas, like kind of silly how you get like all that information just from Harry. But yeah, I feel like that's really when it kind of dug its hooks into me, where it's just like, okay, like there is a mystery that's been going on for years and years and years, and it also there's like 2 raincoat killers, and I don't know, it just gets so crazy.
And like you find out, like, because Harry, when you first meet Harry, he's always wearing a gas mask, and then you find out why, because he knows about what happened 50 years ago, so he doesn't trust the air in the town.
Yeah,
I love that they gave an explanation for that and why he kind of says everything to his servant Michael, who then repeats it. Like instead of just making a weird character for weird sake, they actually explain the gas mask and whatnot.
But I don't understand why his assistant always has to speak in riddles.
So
yeah.
He's a very passionate man.
They're all passionate.
And there's also hints throughout this game of like what's happening. Like the killer's license plate, which I think we're about to spoil. His license plate in the original version says he is the one.
I did not catch that.
I wouldn't have either. There's
the only license plate I really caught was the one that spells out spy fiction.
Thanks.
Like, hey, I know that game.
Also, in the very beginning, like when you come out of the woods, somebody comes out behind you that would happen to be in the woods with you, which is a kind of a hint that maybe something odd's going on. There's a lot of hints of that throughout this game of what's really going on. And you, the criminal profiler, get none of them.
Well, he says towards the end, he's like, the killer's exactly who I thought it was. Like, whatever, dude.
Yeah, after he got tied up and beaten, then he thought, like, oh, I think I know who it is now. Not till then. Frickin' York.
They should have called in Norman Jayden.
Yes. Oh my God.
He would have done so much better. I was having some some like real heavy rain vibes during this game.
Heavy rain.
Right?
Yeah, same actually. That's
Can you imagine how that VR would have looked with these crappy graphics?
Okay, I still would have peed my pants if those shadows came at me.
I know that everyone looks back on Heavy Rain and kind of laughs at it at this point, I think. But I got my PS3 for Heavy Rain back in the day.
Yeah, it was one of the first games I got too.
Yeah.
This is a great time to plug one of our older episodes.
I can't remember the number.
We did an episode on Heavy Rain.
50 something, I think. I've looked at it many times. Does that count? But my memory is just shit right now.
Totally.
Long before my time, I got nothing for you.
Good game though.
Yeah,
Great
good game.
And Helena's on it.
Yes.
It has plot holes, but yeah.
Elise, I don't want to have to fight you during this episode, but if you talk any shit about Heavy Rain.
I'm not wrong, though.
All right.
I'm looking it up right now just so I can plug it, and I can't remember when the hell it was.
That might have to be one we revisit with the same crew at some point. That'd be fun.
Oh my god, that would be so fun.
Yes,
I don't know if you mean me, but I would be down.
Let's do it. We came up with a plan. Amazing.
But yeah, Helena and I will probably fight.
I'm ready.
I like Heavy Rain, but I also have my own like criticisms towards the story.
I'm fine.
Yeah. Okay.
So, also thinking about putting Indigo Prophecy on for next season.
Oh, Indigo Prophecy. Oh my god, that's a blast from the past. David Cage, man.
Not a potential guest then if we do it.
Sounds like it.
I actually really liked Indigo Prophecy, but also completely ridiculous. Oh my god, that other half of the game is just completely bonkers.
I've played like the first half hour. I really don't remember anything other than you start in a bathroom.
It's normal, like a normal mystery for the first, and then it just goes in like the strangest directions later on. Just like makes no sense.
Why does that sound familiar? It sounds like a game we just played.
Sure does. It sure does.
I get sad in this game. So early on, Mike messed with me. He's like, Emily's gonna be okay, right? And I'm like, yeah, she'll be fine.
Mm.
You lied.
It's like, man, I really like Emily, and then like she dies, doesn't she? Like,
yeah.
Ugh.
But I straight up lied to him. I'm like, I can't tell him, that'll ruin the stories. I'm like, no, she's fine. And like when you get later on in this game, things start to really kind of because George. Okay, the raincoat killer you find out is actually George. Spoiler alert. And it's near the end when I think it all finally starts to come together. After he's killed the 4 girls, you have the murder with Becky, when the story really starts coming together. I think so. We kind of mentioned Becky's in the bar, Galaxy of Terror, that you have to go into after Thomas, who is the assistant to George, has went missing. You think Thomas might be the killer because somebody stole the files from 1955 and got rid of them, and so you start thinking Thomas is involved because it had to be someone who could get into the office. And George is framing Thomas because he's trying to, he's just going to sacrifice him and say, "Oh, he's the killer. Screw, that way you don't know it's me."
His plan didn't work out because he put him in a briefcase and threw him in the river. All York needed was a coffee cup with that location on it.
I can take it as the idea that it's a spiritual realm trying to help him.
That could be. I see that.
That's going to be my way of justify it. Whether or not that's what they meant, that's how I'm going to take it.
We haven't really talked about the prophetic coffee yet. How York can kind of see the future somehow.
It's never explained, but yeah.
I started calling it, God, I don't even know if I can pronounce it, Buristology?
Like FK.
It's very silly.
The first line of the game, which makes absolutely no sense unless you beat the game. But hey, welcome to Deadly Premonition. So as that's the part that really kind of gets me when you're in the basement of the Galaxy Terror and you find your little sex club room or something, and that's when you find Becky's been cut open too, but she has all these seat. So Becky's conscious, I think, right? But I can't remember exactly. All I remember is Becky and Emily.
She wasn't dead yet at the time you find her, I think.
Yeah, because she shoves the seeds in Emily's mouth, which is what makes Emily end up overdosing on the seeds.
Right.
You just rescued Kaysen from somewhere, and he's with you at this time.
Oh, you're talking about Carol. You said Becky.
Oh, I did say Becky. Oops, Carol. Sorry. Becky's the one that's hung by the ropes. I can't get straight.
It's okay. Yeah. They all kind of mesh into my brain, too.
They're all not that far away from the models aren't that different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But that one gets me. When she overdoses her on the drugs, and I knew where the story was going, and he So he ends up finding out that Thomas is the killer, and he's going to go hunt down the killer. Or did they already kill Thomas at this point?
No, because you fight him as Emily.
Yeah, no. Okay, this is after I skipped a part. Something happens where York goes to Galaxy Terror, gets hit in the back of the head by a shovel or a wrench by Thomas's sister. They take York to the clock tower and tie him up in the clock tower. Mm-hmm. And then Emily and Kaysen are looking for York. And you have the dog leading you around town in a very mismatched pattern. That's really annoying. Okay. And then in the watchtower is when the clock tower is when Emily first ends up seeing the shadows herself, and you have to run up and fight Thomas in a very stupid boss fight. That does not lock on to him at all.
It felt like a very Dead Rising boss fight, with him jumping back and forth between the giant gears.
And the other thing that I gotta ask is, how the hell did York, this criminal profiler, who knows these red seeds are connected, never picked out the guy that's carrying a red sapling with him every single second you see him? He did not put something together like,
He cradles it like a little baby, walking around with it. Yeah.
He starts to he's asking Polly about it, because Polly's like, oh, he gives one of those to everyone. He's like, is there ever someone that he doesn't give it to? And she just refuses to answer him. And then he just drops it. Like, oh, never mind. Must not be important.
Yeah.
I don't understand. I do not understand how he could be walking around with this, and criminal profiler just doesn't get it. I'm like, York, you stupid piece of shit.
Because he's not good at his job.
He's not.
And I think he kind of realizes that at one point where he's like, I'm useless. I let these women die. But I don't know. He's not very good at his job. And whether it's a spiritual realm helping him, or I don't know, just fate in his coffee cup.
He ignored that too.
The way he comes to his conclusions is very silly. Not actually related to logic at all. Which, he brings up at some point, actually. He's like, you don't always have to listen to logic to solve murders. Something along those lines. I was like, dude, really? That's not how this works.
Just listen to your Folgers cup. It'll give you all the answers.
But apparently in this world, I guess maybe that's true. So.
I don't know how he got out of the academy.
He is a hack.
God. I have so many beefs with York.
It's okay. He deserves it.
I'm just gonna double down on this. He's so weird. No one wants to deal with him. So there's just give him whatever he wants. Make him go away.
Yeah,
that can work.
So I'm ready to unpack York's psyche. / not York's, Zach's. So
yeah.
Okay, we can get there. A little bit after this part, the story kind of comes together, and York finally figures out that, because throughout the game, you see these scenes of his parents getting murdered, or his mother getting almost is dying, and his father shoots himself in the face after you think he killed the mother, and you're missing a scene. Well, finally, way late in the game, you find out that Forrest Kaysen, this big, fat, friendly guy that's selling saplings, is, hey, guess what? He's not human. He's a demon. And it ends up clicking that he was actually there when York's parents were killed, and then you find out that he slapped York, who was not York, was Zach at the time, and ends up having a split personality. And that's where Helena wanted to take over.
Yes. I'm so ready to talk about this because I opened up my DSMs. I was looking into it. Okay. So in 2010, when this game was made, DSM-4 was out, and the DSM is the Diagnostic Statistical Manual. And that's how psychologists diagnose mental illness. And so at the time, multiple personality disorder was a diagnosis. And since the DSM-5 came out in 2013, that's been changed to dissociative identity disorder. So people with MPD/DID, the reason that comes about is due to a very significant trauma. And it's kind of a combo of dissociation and memory suppression. And then your brain working in a way to try to help you process the grief by giving you an out so that your traumatized brain can kind of take a seat while this other personality takes over for you. So Zach he witnessed his parents both dying, his mom being murdered, and then his dad killing himself. And he created this alternate personality, York, to help him out. And so York talking to Zach this entire time, he's not talking to an imaginary figure. Well, kind of. He's just talking to his other personality, which sometimes patients with dissociative identity disorder do talk to other personalities. However, depending on the personality who's inhabiting the person at the time, the other personality isn't making memories. So they have these blind patches where they can't remember anything. And so York not remembering about his parents dying, that would make sense. I totally stand by the diagnosis of this dissociative identity disorder for Zach.
Yeah, that makes absolute sense. I didn't go as deep as you, but I thought the same thing, right? Where a deep trauma happened, he pushes it out of his head, and he, has these split personalities to cope. So
your theories make a lot more sense than the one that was in my head during this game. Mine was that York was a different being that took over to help Zach process what was happening and took over Zach's body while Zach was in his brain.
But I feel like that kind of is the same thing. Like, mine. Hers similar, I guess. I know you're saying like an actual being. Health, but
yeah. Well, when Zach comes back out, Kaysen does say like, "How did you get out of the Red Forest or the White Room or whatever?" So he's at least aware of the dual personalities within him.
Mm-hmm.
I still think Helena makes more sense than mine.
Well, yeah.
It's just because I use science words.
Well, no, because you have more to talk about than plus. I mean, in this world, it could be supernatural because of the supernatural, but at the same time, that is a real thing. So,
that's true.
I'm curious when they created this game if they thought about all that or not, because it seems to add up very, very very well, I guess. Because I was thinking the same. I was like, oh yeah, this is split, personalities, and but I'm curious, like, did they actually research that, or is that just happenstance, or because you don't know this game.
I think,
yeah.
So I would have to check 2010, but I believe that dual personalities were like really big in the media in either that year or one of the prior years before, and. Before the DSM switched to recognizing it as DID, it was kind of misunderstood and kind of like, I don't know, sometimes mental illnesses get romanticized in weird ways. So
I agree with that.
I think it's very likely that they researched it and that they researched that disorder when it was still being, developed fully and probably got poor information of what the symptoms were and kind of ran with it from there. Like, how do we make these symptoms art?
Right. Yeah, I'm curious what the discourse was in Japan too,
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but I don't know. So but I'm curious if that was, prominent in media at the time there too. And if that's what kind of influenced the story beats.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, I agree. They must have done at least some research. It just adds up way too well.
Yeah. On the subject of mental illness though, George's mom is, do they ever say in the game which mental illness she has?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
They just say she beats her child.
Okay. Yeah. I was trying to find if they had anything online, but all I could find was that she was abusive, and like that's mental illness doesn't automatically equate abuse. So there's like nothing you can get from that description. But it seems like the game developers must have been really interested because there's a lot of like weird psychosis imagery throughout the game.
Mm-hmm.
I made a reference to this line earlier, but there's a part when George talks about his backstory with his mother, how his mother would beat him with a stick or something to make him strong or something, I think he says.
Mm-hmm.
And then I like when York's just like, that's child abuse. Like, I'm like, yeah, I like that part. It doesn't, I like the fact that he just calls it out what it is. It doesn't try to like, how people go, oh, that's just good parenting. Like, no, that's just child abuse, guys. Like, that's not a good thing.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I that part kind of like, plus it plays such a big part in the story that, spoil, I think I already said, George is the killer, and because his mother beat him, he wants power, and the whole thing, what he's trying to do is have power over people. Like, there's a scene I haven't gotten to yet, where when they find the little sex club downstairs, inside, underneath the Galaxy's Terror bar, it's all like a BDSM type thing, because he wanted power over these people.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, and it's interesting.
It's like Helena said earlier, mommy issues.
Yep.
All relating back to that.
And I didn't catch this, but there's a red tree outside her. I only saw this because of YouTube video. There's a red tree outside George's house, outside the police station, and in the garden of where like all these red trees are by the cemetery, that's supposed to reference, and then you kind of figure out that the reason the red trees by George's house because that's what happened to his mother. Find out later
when you actually find her husk of a body with the tree sticking out of it. Ugh.
Yeah.
Super gross.
The whole thing with the red seeds is that if you digest them or have them shoved in you when you're killed, and you do something to make them activate, they suck away your life force, and then the tree sprouts. Because Casey makes a comment, once these trees sprout, nothing can stop them, but I'm the only one that can make them sprout. And it didn't occur to me till this playthrough, and later on, going, oh, I think I know what's happening here, and I do not like it.
Nope.
But yeah, I think it's fairly clear that Kaysen is raping these women.
Yeah.
The seeds are an aphrodisiac, plus they make you hallucinate, so they think it's someone else that they love, not the psychopath demon that's raping them.
Yeah.
Which is just... It hit me kind of this time. I'm like, oh, I did not catch that.
So when I still thought Kaysen was human, I'm like, wow, this is like the worst villain in video games. Like, oh, it's just this despicable person. And the fact that he like turned out to be a demon, I'm like, that kind of tracks.
But I also like that the demon is, this fat guy, because the idea of him being this bigger guy that might people like, oh, he's a nobody, he's just some overweight guy, lazy. Like that's the idea that people might think of someone like that, and that would help them not realize that this guy is, a terrible person and not human.
However, to play devil's advocate, we could also talk about how toxic it is to demonize larger bodies and always make fat people the villains in video games.
I didn't think about that point. That makes sense.
Yeah, punchline or villain for sure.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the time. And not just games, but media in general.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why I tried never use that as an insult to anyone ever again.
I mean, if we're going to talk about stereotypes, I mean, this game is rife with poorly thought out, sometimes downright offensive stereotypes.
Absolutely.
Like Tommy's character, frankly, pissed me off.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Thomas, sorry, not Tommy.
Oh, okay. I can see that.
Yeah. Just like I knew it the first time I saw him, like his like walking animation when he comes up to you in the sheriff's department, and I was just like, oh no, are they gonna make like a really bad like gay kind of stereotype? It's just like I don't want them to do that, and then they do.
Complete with being an amazing chef.
Like they villainize him, and then they losing my train of thought for a second. But, they, like, his mental instability and stuff is just like, okay, the one gay character, like, you just make him look super unstable.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, all right, great.
And he's also being abused by George, who's taking advantage of him, because he makes comments like, I don't want to do what he wants, but I don't have a choice. Like, that's also not very pleasant either. Like, I can see a lot of that stuff is just a little outdated. But 2010.
That was not very cash money of George, was it?
No.
It's like Thomas Fawn loves George to the point of having that tattoo on his back.
Yeah, he does.
It does fit George's character where he wants power over people, so he goes after people who he's able to seduce or be able to manipulate because
I don't really understand like Thomas's sort of descent into like, I don't know, he just seems so like crazy nearing the end. I was like, I'm not understanding like where that's coming from.
Yeah. I mean, some of it makes sense, but I mean, like certain stuff, but then it does go too far.
Yeah.
Like him maybe covering up a murder, like throwing away the evidence for George can make sense. Here, he worshipped this person. Like, okay, I'll get rid of this that you want me to do. But some of the other stuff it does seem a little extreme.
Over the top, right?
Like when he commits suicide by jumping off the tower when he's dying to land face first on the hook. Like, no, I would.
Nope.
Yeah, that's just shock. That's just shock value.
Yeah, I mean, video game.
Totally.
Yeah.
I don't like Thomas in this game because I just don't like that boss fight at all.
Yeah.
I really don't like that boss fight. But I mean, the character, I mean, it's interesting, like the way that certain parts of it, like how they have, like, because I didn't realize put any of the things together until later on in the game. I think it's interesting, but I do agree with that. I don't like how they villainify stereotypes that shouldn't be there.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm trying to say.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, like, obviously it doesn't hold up to the 2020s.
Yeah, but also, I can understand, especially this would have made in the 2000s, because I've said a lot of things in 2000 that, especially early 2000s, that I will never say again because I grew up as a person, so I can kind of understand that too.
Yeah.
I like to call that suspending feminism. when you look at things from an older generation where like you can't look at it with the same eye that you have right now. You just have to suspend your feminism for a little while and just
That's an interesting way to put it, but yeah. Well, I just thought about like in general, like things I would have said in middle school or high school, and I'm like, yeah, no. Like,
yeah, of course.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think we all
different.
have that, right?
Yeah.
yep.
Times change. We grow as people. We learn.
We're all dumb kids at one
We're
point.
all ignorant. Yeah,
Yep.
that's just
That's
the way it is.
I mean, that's kind of how but I do like your version of not version, but the words that you just used that I can't think of a phrase I want to say. It makes like suspending feminism. That's cool.
Yeah. Hey, sometimes you gotta do it, but you have to always turn it back on afterward.
Yeah, agreed. Other thing, and like with everything with George, I think is like when you find out that he's not cutting their tongues out, he's biting their tongues out. I'm just like, how could you? One, the amount of force you would have to do that. Like I know. I mean, I can understand like if you're a psychopath killer and you're like, okay, I'm gonna cut her tongue out. Like, okay, but biting it, just I couldn't. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think
that
it's just
is.
more-
I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say it's more what Elise was saying, that it's just more shock value. Like it is weird.
yeah.
But I think it's just weird for the sake of being weird.
Yeah, there's not really much point to it.
I think it's a total power move to the end to bite someone's tongue off. That is like designed to scare the person that you are killing and feel that last bit of power before they die.
Yeah, because it's all about power with him. So
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And with him, he's got significant trauma from his mom. I think shutting up the women that he's dealing with is probably really important to him.
oh, okay, I didn't think about that. But that does make sense.
Taking away their voice.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a very good, well, not good, but a successful power move.
Yes, I swear to God, I'm not a serial killer.
You're just like, I mean, I've watched tons of things about serial killers. I got really into like what mindset people are in to do that. So I understand.
mean, it's fascinating is the thing. There's a morbid curiosity for sure on my part too.
Absolutely. I actually wanted to be a criminal profiler for a long time.
I was just going to say you're better than York is.
Thank you.
You should be the protagonist in Deadly Premonition.
Excellent. I look forward to becoming the new main character.
Deadly Premonition 3.
Perfect.
So, and as the game, like, as you find out more about the seeds, and there's a part where you end up, after Emily gets overdosed, and you put her in the truck with Kaysen that you trust, and he's like, Kaysen, take her to the hospital. And then you go after George inside the police station. That part hit me really hard this time, because, like, I knew where this was going. I'm like, no, don't let her go in the car. But, of course, you don't have a choice, because it's a video game. And
Kaysen even says, like, you need to come too. It's like, I can't be held responsible for what happens next.
I know. He knows what he's about to do, and I hate this part. Like, I also didn't enjoy the fight with George, where George becomes Demon George, but that's
where he turns into Asura from Asura's Wrath.
Yes. I did not. I mean, it's a fine fight. Like, it wasn't terrible. You just had to get him the, video game things where he throws his back and you shoot his back. And it's just, I wasn't in the mood for it because I wanted.
It's not great. Like we've said, the boss fights are dumb.
They're all terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially I like how George dies though. Like, he's like, I'm invincible, and he hit by lightning, and then the lightning kills him when you go back into the regular world. He can't sustain the damage that he took in Silent Hill world, so he just dies.
Yeah, it's because George is a little bitch.
I hate George. I hate everything about George in this game.
Yeah, he is, I think, the worst character.
Stupid handlebar mustache.
I'm kind of frustrated with the whole, like, oh, so he was abused as a child, therefore he's looking for power, therefore he's a killer. And it's just like, it feels like it's taking those concepts and really simplifying them, or also, once again, stereotyping them.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like that whole, like, oh, I was abused as a child, therefore that's why I'm a murderer, is such a frustrating trope that you find in horror.
Mm-hmm.
You're a murderer because something just isn't clicking right, and you don't have empathy, and you made very bad choices. I mean,
and we never see let me get up on my pedestal. We never see like female serial killers who blame all their issues on, or like all their killings on their daddy issues, or like do anything like that. However, we always see the trope with male serial killers in media where like they have significant mother issues, and that's why they kill women.
Yep, like in that same breath, kind of vilifying women.
Absolutely.
Like, women are the problem. That's what this game kind of says, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's because that's a very bad that's society sometimes.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, I think we're getting away from that more, but it's still there, especially with people that were born at a different age. They still don't let it go. Like
maybe.
I mean, one comment I want to bring up that unrelated, but it made me think of back when in 2016 when Hillary ran for election. I remember watching a random clip on the news where they went and interviewed someone that came out of election place, and they asked the woman, "Oh, do you want to see a woman president?" And she must have been like her 80s or 90s. She's like, "Hell no! Like we're too emotional." And I'm like, ugh. And it was something like that. I might be exaggerating the words, but it was something. She definitely did say no, and she did say something about a woman couldn't do the job or something of that nature. And she wasn't. It's like, but kind of like what society forces into people's brains. That's it's bullshit.
And then we got a president who's holding the office hostage because he's having a tantrum. But yes, women are emotional.
Yeah,
it's not very passionate of him.
Silently.
We go there sometimes. It's fine. So I'm just happy those days are over with, or about to be over with.
Maybe
soon.
Anyway,
Lord, I hate the character, and everything about him makes me upset. Like
Sorry. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was just about to say, can we talk about his handlebar mustache?
Yes, it's so stupid.
I hate it so much.
That's because I don't get it. He looks really strange without the hat. When he took off his hat and he's wearing like that weird whatever outfit he's wearing, I'm just like, put the hat back on, please. It don't work for me for some reason.
Yeah.
Keep the weird gimp costume on, just put the hat back on.
I was okay with the costume, just not the hair. I don't know, but it's just weird. This whole game is just a very strange game that it made more sense to me after I watched YouTube videos that help explain things in a way.
Yeah.
But we should get to a little bit past this. So after you kill George and you wake up in the hospital and you're like, "Where's Emily?" And he's like, Emily's not here. He's like, but Kaysen brought him. Like, "Oh, Kaysen brought you." And that's when you finally go to George's house, find George's mother dead, and he puts together the pieces that Kaysen was involved with everything.
Yeah. I was so frustrated at that point because I was like, "York, you idiot. You literally gave the demon / killer, Emily. You literally put her in a car with him. What were you thinking?"
Yeah, and like right before you talk about, I might ask Emily out for a date. And I'm like, yeah, no, you aren't.
It's like, that ain't gonna happen, buddy. You just doomed her.
That ship sailed. That made me so upset. I have not been upset about a character dying in a game like this in a while. This important era.
I also really don't like the lead up to her death. The choices that come up that aren't actually even choices. Like, I don't know if anyone's played older adventure games that, like a trope in older adventure games like Monkey Island and stuff. Like, there are dead ends to certain like puzzles. Like, and I get the sense here, this is kind of the same thing, but change puzzles to choices where like you choose, certain decisions in that ending sequence. As long as it's not like shooting Emily, every other one was a dead end. And it's just like, nope, start over. I'm just like, this is such bad design.
Yeah.
You don't even shoot Emily either.
Right. Like your decision isn't even, a decision. Like it's just like it just brings you to the next scene, which isn't even what you chose. So that whole that annoyed me.
It's that part where she pulled so after you leave Emily and you find her, you find a tree sprouting out of her like stomach, and it is. Because I knew what was happening. I'm like, oh, and that's when you realize she gets up and you see that the tree has sprouted inside of her, and everything just looks. That part is really disgusting. Just what's happening. Like
she even says she got soiled, and I wonder if that is supposed to be a pun because there's a tree growing in her. Like I wouldn't put that.
Take it a couple different ways. Like
yeah, I think it's meant to be the worst way, but I wouldn't be surprised if the writers are like kind of tongue in cheeks, like, haha, she got soiled.
Oh my god.
It's even worse now. I wish you wouldn't have said that. Because I'm just like, I was like, okay, and then I'm like, wait a second. If it's a pun, that's even worse. But this bothers me. Like and then Emily I like the fact she rips the tree out of her because she's like, I'm not going to be defiled by this thing, which again could be a metaphor for something else. I just realized now that I'm saying it. And I did not think about when my mouth started moving, but it makes it a lot worse. It's such a that scene hits me. Like when she died the second time for me playing this game, I'm just like, why you gotta kill Emily? Like, why Emily?
So, like, question here. Emily is the only woman who ripped the tree out of her, right? Like, all of the other women, it was, like, up to their husbands to kill them or just let them suffer?
She's the only one that takes matters into her own, like, independent hands. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's so...
She kind of chooses her fate, in a way.
Exactly. And good for her.
Yeah, that I appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I didn't like her dying, but it is cool, like that aspect of that she did. You know, she's making her own choice. She's not relying on a man to do it.
Yep.
Which I didn't think about. You guys just said that either, so I like that. Oh, it makes sense. My brain didn't comprehend. I guess my brain was too busy being upset that she died.
Yeah.
I really was. Like, I usually don't. I mean, it's a video game. Like, I know, it's a story. It's a story. Like, but this one kind of hit me. Like, it bothers me that she dies in this game.
It's like I said at the top of the episode, like everything about Emily is designed to make you like her because, like I said, it's the crux of the story that George goes on this whole killing spree because he couldn't have Emily. So he's like, well, I'm just going to kill everyone, apparently.
And that's because George is a bitch.
Accurate.
That whole, like, power fantasy and everything with him, like, it does kind of fit, like, certain mentality or ideas with men that, like, because he can't have what he wants, so he's gonna go psycho.
And that's on toxic masculinity.
Yeah, which is very bad. And I'm not going to go into this episode, but I could. Like, it affects people in ways that you don't always realize, and yeah, very bad. And I make sure I try to never say, like, I have made a general conscious thing never to say things that are talking masculinity. Like, just don't ever let that come out of my mouth. Like, I hate when people say, "Oh, just be a man." Like, no, shut up. Like, don't say that. Like, I hate that.
Oh, apparently I misspoke, and the second game does take place after this one. I thought it was a prequel.
I love a prequel too.
Apparently Emily plays some kind of part in it.
Oh, have none of us played it? Because I have not.
I have not played it.
I don't think I'm going to, from what I've read.
Yeah, I haven't heard a lot of good things about it.
I can find it for under $10. I will buy it and play it for the show. Actually,
we'll leave that up to the listeners. Like, if you want us to play it, we'll play it.
No, I spent $50 on it.
Never mind.
The last time I spent $60 on a game was Breath of the Wild. I've been upset ever since. So, never again.
Sorry to hear about your poor taste in games.
Yeah, you're ridiculous.
It's amazing.
I know. Everyone's been telling me that, and one day I'm going to buy it for Switch for $60 again because Nintendo won't, lower the price, and I'll play it. Oh, I think we should talk about back to the. We should talk about the final boss fight, which again is bad. But like one thing they do throughout this game, like so after Emily dies, you find out Kaysen is a demon. You find out Kaysen and everything with his mother and how the Zack thing we already talked about. And then you get into a weird boss fight where he becomes like a demon and rolls around and you have to shoot him when he's hanging in a it's just an odd fight.
Yeah.
God, and then you gotta then when he goes Super Saiyan. Well, I guess kind of super. No, actually, he's more Power Rangers, where you beat the boss the first time and he gets really big. Yeah. So it's Power Rangers.
George goes Super Saiyan.
Oh yeah. So when you get the Power Ranger part, you have to shoot the doll in his hand. That was interesting.
Even in between that is where you're running down the where are you? You're in the theater, so you're running down the spiral staircase and like just mashing the A button the whole time. Oh my god, it goes on forever.
That part was terrible. And I had my hand got tired of hitting there with the joystick back and forth. I'm like, I'm not having fun. I also don't like quick movements, I found out.
I just realized we haven't talked about the Rain Killer chase sequences either, which are also just equally as bad.
The insta-death QTEs that come with it.
It's just, actually, I found those sequences made the Raincoat Killer way less scary. Like the first time I remember the first time I saw him, I'm like, oh shit, that's really freaky. And now I just like look back and I'm like, he's goofy as hell.
Turns out all you have to do is run into a room and hide in the locker and he can't find you as long as you hold your breath.
Holding your breath thing was funny too.
Don't get that. Like, I found out
holding down. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, if you get out, you die instantly. I found out too.
Yep. Because I thought I had to get out and run when he was like at the furthest end of the room, and he just beelines to you and slashes you.
But it's okay during a running minigame. As long as you hit X, you'll just roll underneath his axe. But God forbid if he sees you when you're not already running.
God forbid.
Hey, those scenes were annoying. But
oh yeah,
I strangely liked them other than the controls. Like if I just didn't have to hit controls, like I would have been more okay with it. The tapping got me, the left and right. That what really irritated me. I can handle
that. Yeah, your finger gets tired, like just over and over again.
Especially one of the last times you do it, you have to do like 2 or 3 of them in a row where you're just zigzagging across this room, and it's dumb.
Once again, bad design.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's right up there with trailing Nick all the way to the freaking museum that's on the outskirts of town. It goes, and if you're listening to this, haven't played the game, and you're going to, don't turn on the siren during that part. Oh yeah, it's like he started to get away from me. Like, oh crap, I need to speed up a little bit, and I turn the siren, you instantly fail.
Yep.
Like, okay, and then York's like, we'll just wait. Do this again tomorrow. Oh my god.
I didn't have that happen to me, thankfully, but I did read about it, because I never hit the siren because the sound was just terrible and I didn't want to hear any sound. But I also didn't realize the siren speeds you up, or I might have done it sometimes.
It's not enough to be useful.
Oh, and that run down the stairs was brutal. That was making me very upset.
Yeah.
It's dumb.
And I didn't hate the final fight though, like, or the second to final fight where you have to, or I guess it's the final fight where he's trying to smack you and you have to shoot the doll in his hand that I could never hit, and because the lock on is terrible. And I mean, I didn't mind it too much. I didn't enjoy it, but I didn't mind.
Yeah.
I did enjoy things about this game. That wasn't one of them. But I do like the fact that the doll is everywhere. Like, multiple people are holding a little Cason doll, and no one once questioned, why do people have a Cason doll?
Right.
It is.
It's just merchandising. Or his sapling business.
And I do like how the game tells you right in the beginning that when the map that you see early in the game has little Cason dolls all over the map in different spots where the murders happen. And yet, even me, I forgot that was there by the time I meet Cason for the first time, what the game expects you to forget.
Huh. Yeah, I didn't put that together.
Mm-hmm.
It's because it's 4 hours later about a gameplay. They're like, the game's like, you're not going to remember this little scene after all the weird stuff we throw at you by the time you get here.
Yeah.
Which worked. I remember nothing. I mean, and then I get really confused in the second part of the demon fight where you have to climb up Cason's arm and then shoot the doll in Cason's shirt. I kept shooting his face, like, why isn't this working? And I read out.
Yeah. He turns around and like hides the doll in his little overalls pouch like a weirdo. Yeah. Don't fake. I'm hiding it.
Then you kill him, and then it's kind of over with. Mostly, I guess. Like, there's an epilogue where you're driving back somewhere and you see Emily in a red dress. And okay, anyone else think it's weird that Harry had a picture of all the girls that got murdered in his room?
Yes.
Put 2 and 2 together. Like,
yeah, they're even like, oh yeah, they do kind of look like the girls, don't they? Like, complete with Thomas on it.
What a good profiler York is, huh?
He's so bad at his job.
Truly. I hate him.
I'm trying to think anything else about the ending. The ending kind of hits me a little bit, like when the kids end up seeing Emily and Emily gives him the necklace. Oh, because also York is Zach at this point, so Zach's hair turns white for the final fight, and York goes away, and then York's with Emily with the other girls that are all dead. That's why I also thought that York was a god being or some kind of supernatural being that took over, not just a. But I guess a split personality could die, or that what it was? Anybody?
The goddesses of the forest. They talk about quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something to do with the red forest.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, it did hit me when the kids give the leaf that Emily had from her mother to Zach, and I was like, this game made me emotional a little bit. I don't know why.
It's a good game. I mean, with all of its problems, it's still a really good game.
Yeah.
It's very engaging. Like, you just get so into the story. It's so weird, but there are lots of twists and turns for sure.
Yeah, I was just impressed that I ended up liking the character much as I did. Like, I actually I don't have a problem with York, or like some people on this episode, but
yeah.
I mean, it is his fault that Emily died, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, correct. But still, I don't know why. I just like him. I don't like him. I don't like when you have to shoot things, but I like him otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
The eating part annoyed me too. After you sleep or something, I have to eat food. But then I realized it really didn't matter that much because I had so much food.
I was kind of worried.
Some weird mechanics where it's like, let's be the Sims, but also let's not be.
You're right. So I was going to say, is like, I was kind of worried when I saw that it had eating stamina and whatnot, but it never gets in the way. Because, like, I think I only got low a couple of times, and he's just like, oh, I should eat something soon.
Yeah.
It hurts your health eventually, and if you get too tired, you can't run.
And you find food everywhere, entirely too much.
That's the thing. For a survival horror game, you sure find, resources everywhere.
Yeah.
You find delicious things like cans of pickles. And the worst looking turkey sandwich I've ever seen in a game. That thing looks horrifying.
Thankfully, at least York like recognizes that. He's like, this is, or wait, does he? Maybe he doesn't.
He likes the turkey sandwich.
Oh, okay, I thought he said something about, no, I'm wrong. That was a Let's Play, part of a Let's Play I watched where the guy playing was like, this is purple. That was not York saying that.
Oh, it's straight up purple. Something on that sandwich is purple.
Well, is that the Sinner sandwich that he's eating?
The sandwich,
no.
Right.
No, it's the turkey ones you find.
But doesn't he criticizes the sandwich at first when he sees Harry eating it, and then he eats it and he's just like, oh no, this is so good. Oh my god.
Yeah, I've got it in my notes what's on it. It's like strawberry jam and some kind of cereal.
It looks disgusting.
Strawberry jam and cereal.
Crap, where is it?
I'm going to make that sandwich. I'm going to let you guys know how it tastes.
I'm sure
Better you than me.
There are YouTube videos all over.
But yeah, that turkey sandwich picture just looks terrible. Plus, we haven't mentioned this yet, but you find collectible cards in this game for no reason at all, unless you want to just collect stuff for achievements.
Achievement. Oh, so the center sandwich is turkey, strawberry jam, and cereal. I just, for some reason, I assumed it's like Captain Crunch.
I was thinking,
so gross.
Because Lucky Charms.
Yeah, he's got weird tastes and stuff. So one thing, when Emily makes York the cup of coffee,
the worst coffees I've ever had.
But his reaction is so bizarre that like the first time I played, I was like, did he like it or did he not? Because he's like clearly impressed, but also hates it.
Yeah, he's definitely impressed about how bad it is, but it's kind of vague.
Really, once again, another passionate man.
And he just like straightens up an asshole to her. He's like, "Wow, this is the worst coffee I've ever had." Like to her face.
She's pissed off too. She's just like, how dare you?
I like when she says, "I got bad taste in men" or something because she's starting to like York.
Yeah. She's like, "I need to think about my taste in men." I'm like, yeah, girl.
I like that
yeah,
part
you do.
a lot because it is not good. York does nothing that should make her like him. I feel like he's an asshole.
He's terrible. He's not even good at his job.
And I mean, as much as like the media likes to say that women like assholes, I don't think that's true.
It's not true.
That really bothered me when I found out, because I never found out he was 32 and she was 16 because I never went to the bar with him. Because when George asked me, "Come to the bar with me," I'm like, "Fuck you." So I never went. I never got that scene. So I watched YouTube videos. I'm like, "Oh, that's just wrong." But I don't. I'm okay with age to a certain point, but not in this case. So. That's too much. All right. Any last things we should say about this game before we go on to questions, comments, and memories that we haven't touched on?
I'm sure there's plenty we haven't touched on. I took extensive notes, but it's actually too much to go through.
Okay, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it for me. I've gone on my spiels about psychology.
Not a lot of spiels in this episode.
Yeah.
But that's normal, this podcast. All right, I did ask in a bunch of different groups. First from Overblood. All I got was from Will Randolph. One of my faves. I was a few years late playing it, but once I did, fell in love with it. Just super into the overall vibe and weirdness. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, same. That's what I like about it, is just how bizarre it is. I think otherwise I'd have trouble looking past some of the worst moments.
Racist stuff.
Yeah, like the thematic problems and also just the like gameplay problems too. But there is something oddly charming about the experience and just how weird it is. How, even in its like most deranged moments.
It is definitely deranged.
Yeah.
Like even just the cover, which you haven't talked about yet, is like a girl screaming with like cracks on her face and the rainbow killer behind. I mean, it's just a really freaky looking cover too.
It was an odd choice because like the international version is just a bigger shot of the rainbow killer like standing on the street. I don't know.
I'm most curious about like what was the tone supposed to be, because I don't like, I play this and I'm like, is it meant to be comedy horror or have we made it that way? Because it feels like there are so many moments that take like where the game takes itself so seriously, and then other moments not so much, like the turkey sandwich scene is a good example of that. So it's very hard to like distinguish what the kind of tonal intention was.
I feel like it's supposed to be a mix of both, because like we talked about at the top of the episode, that Life is Beautiful, the whistling theme, is not evocative of any kind of horror whatsoever.
It's just odd.
It's great. I love it.
And A couple are from the different group that I have, from the Giant Bomb group, from Alan J. Favorite game ever? Not so bad it's good, but an amazing masterpiece with some rough edges. Still adore it. Shame it never got a sequel, but it's probably for the best.
I mean, it did, but we can just pretend it didn't.
We can pretend it doesn't exist. I'm fine with that.
I do want to play it, though, now.
Yep.
It's not for $50. I was upset I had to buy this game.
From what I've read, it's just like, I don't know, racist stuff. And I'm just like, I don't...
Still?
That's less fun. I thought it was just like more jank, but...
I'm okay with jank. I actually like jank, I think. But I don't really... Yeah, no, I mean, it's 2020, not 2010.
Right, yeah.
I can accept certain shit in 2010, but I can't accept certain shit in 2020 as much, because we've grown.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I think Swery had to, like, apologize for some of the stuff in there. So, yeah, I'm just kind of like, I don't need this. I don't need that. I don't need that in my life, so.
Nah.
That makes sense. All right, and this one from Drew Blanton. I heard it was good and weird. I started playing it. It looked like a Dreamcast game. They started out with the absolute worst section of the game, and it played like a bad RE4. Then I heard Life is Beautiful. That damn whistle song makes the game.
Yup.
I love that whistle song.
It's so good.
I do. It's so catchy.
It really is.
Yeah, I can't whistle, but I kept thinking of it after I got done playing this game.
It's very cheery, and sometimes in scenes that are not cheery.
Yeah, it seems very out of place.
Does he whistle when they find someone that's dead or something? Does it have the whistling still?
No, okay, I don't think so. I'm trying to think of a good example, but there are definitely moments where it's a little jarring for sure.
Okay. And this one from Survival Horror Group, from Charles Mesculo. I probably said that wrong. Unique blend of horror and mystery. Great game. I mean, a lot of people actually like this game, which... Yeah,
they do.
Mm-hmm. I was surprised. Yeah. From Brianna Hahn, this is one of the best and underrated horror games ever. Agreed. Okay, let's see what else I got here. From Justin Dale, this game is a horror mystery open world masterpiece. It is in my mental to stay. I'll never forget the story. It was great. FK in the coffee.
Clear as a spring morning.
Oh, and last one from this group, from Jasmine C. It's funny because lunch day I found this at EB Games. The staff had no idea what it was, but it was $19.99, so I bought it and took it home. Great game. Same reason I bought it. $20. And I'm still upset. I paid $25 for this on the director's cut on Steam because it would never go on sale until after I think I bought it. I was sad. I'm a cheap bastard when it comes to games. That's why I don't buy things at full price, because it makes me upset. Because then I buy Breath of the Wild and I don't enjoy it.
I was gonna say such trash like Breath of the Wild.
I really need to replay it.
You really do.
I know it's a good game. I know it had a lot to do with, like, I have a hard time playing a game when it first comes out where I can't look online. Like when I couldn't, when Breath of the Wild first came out, I couldn't look online. There were no guides. I didn't know what to do, and it made me. And I'm like, I want the game to tell me, like Assassin's Creed, like, go here. Here's the big mark. Do this. And didn't have that, and that made it harder for me. But that's on me, not on the game.
That is on you. The game is amazing.
I enjoyed this open world more because this open world told me where to go, and it gave me a big mark and said, "Go here," and I'm like, okay, that's what I want. That's how I play my open world games. All right, from the last group, I'm going to read a couple questions, and I'm going to end this section. From Lewis Owen, it's a relaxing, fun game. I love the opening scene with the old man and the kids. When you would pause the game, I love the way the menu looked, which we have not talked about.
The menu, the pause menu.
It's the deer head moves after a while too, which is kind of
It was a very eclectic menu.
That's a good word for it.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure what to say about it outside of it's the strangest pause menu I think I've seen ever in a video game.
Yeah, I can't think of anything off the top of my head that kind of surpasses it.
I want to say yes, but I'm not able to think of anything either. But it is a pretty good one. Except for me, when I paused the game, I was still in the car. The sound wouldn't stop, so I was very upset.
No.
The sound would not stop.
You can never escape the bad car noises.
I'm going to need you to record that because I need to hear how bad this is.
The game's already uninstalled. I'll install it for you at some point, and I'll do it. It's really bad, though. All right, from Squin. This game is the first thing I think of every time I hear Amazing Grace.
Okay. Oh, it isn't it? Oh, we didn't talk about that section.
What section?
Where you actually play as the Raincoat Killer?
No, we did not. We skipped that.
The original, because it's just after the gas got released to the town. You play as him, and I'm like, cool, man. I'm gonna go mess some people up, and then it puts you on a very strict time limit. You have to just run past everyone. But it was still cool. I was very surprised.
Yeah. It's a good scene. So, all right.
Also, the original Rango killer was who was it?
Henry's father or Harry's father.
Harry's father, yeah. I knew someone's father.
And Harry's son, who he abandoned, is George.
Right.
Mm-hmm. All right,
yeah, we kind of glossed over some of this stuff.
We did. It's because
it's a lot to keep track of.
It's a strange game. All right, and last one I'm going to read from Whitney Chavez. It's one of my all-time favorite games, and one I put 1,000+ hours into it since it released in 2010.
1,000?
Wow. Oh my god.
As outdated controls and PS2 era graphics, but what Deadly Premonition lacks in technical department, it more than makes up for with its endearing characters, charming dialogue, and engaging yet strange story. It's actually kind of mind-boggling how much detail has been packed into this little game. All right.
That's fair.
Yeah, it's a very strange game to talk about too, because it really gets on a lot of subjects that I didn't think about when we first picked this game. And I'm like, oh, this is so
they're right though. There is a lot of gameplay here especially for $20. Like it'll keep you busy if you're gonna go for everything.
I think how long had to beat it has like over 50 hours for it if you go for everything or something.
Oh, I believe it.
I can't remember. I know I looked it up, but I didn't do it. But I looked it up. All right, I think we should go to Shelf or Box. And Mike, why don't you go first?
You're supposed to let the guests go first.
Yeah.
So, like I said at the top of the show, like I was not looking forward to this game because I've heard bad things about it. Because I don't know, it seems like a really polarizing game. People either love it or hate it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I looked up all the stuff. Like, I'm going to make this as painless as possible. I'm just going to get through it. I started this like 3 weeks ago just to get it done and over with. And about the time I realized that it was part whodunit, I'm like, okay, I'm at least invested in the story now because I love that kind of stuff. And then I kind of fell for its charms, like in spite of its oddities. Like it definitely has its fair share of jank, and like we've talked about the crappy boss fights and tailing Nick for half an hour at a flipping museum. But I kind of ended up loving it. Like I liked driving around the town, even with fast travel. I still found myself driving more than I needed to. I don't know why, but it's going on the shelf. I don't see me playing it again anytime soon, but I ended up loving it.
Yeah, I like it a lot too. You know, I think you put it well. It's a charming game. I think not even in spite of its oddities. I think it's because of its oddities a lot of the time. It makes for a very unique experience. I don't think I've played anything else like it.
I don't think there is much about it. That much like it. It's very unique.
Uh-huh.
And you want to go next, Helena?
Sure. I'm definitely going to shelf this. I actually kind of want to play it fully now after doing this episode. I mean, so I watched the cutscenes just to like really, really understand what was going on. But like there's just so much to this game, and it is interesting. And I know that I have more beef with York than I know about yet. So I look forward to playing as him and finding all the things I hate about him rather than just a few. But I think it is really an interesting game. I still think it's Elise. I don't remember if like at the time that I asked you to join us on this episode, if I remembered that we had played Deadly Premonition together, or if I just thought maybe it'd be something you're into. But I'm delighted that we are returning to it full circle right now.
Yeah, I don't think you did, or I mean I don't know for sure because I'm not you, but
well, I have terrible memories, so
for the interaction it seemed like it may have didn't cross your mind, but yeah, I love that this brought us back to Deadly Premonition too.
Yeah,
funny. Weird how the world works.
Right?
And Elise, how about you for this one? Shelf or box?
Boy, you know what? I may end up returning to this. I don't think I'm going to shelf it just yet. I might play the director's cut. You know what?
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Oh, no? Okay.
Because the director's cut that I played with like the sound, like with the car thing, I might put the video online, but it was like one of the worst sounds I ever had to listen to in a game, and I could not hear it. Like that's how.
So specifically because of the grueling car noises, I should just not touch the director's cut version.
Well, they talk a lot in the cutscenes in the car, and they were interesting. I wanted to hear what they have to say, but the car, even when I tried to lower the sound effects, I still couldn't hear them. I just hear the terrible sound of the car.
Did you turn on the closed captions?
Of course. I was reading. I just couldn't.
Good. Okay.
I headphones in and threw them off to the side and listened, but I wanted to hear what they were saying because I liked it. I liked the voiceovers in this game, and it made me very upset. So
that explains why you didn't bring up York's movie facts that he talks to Zach about during the long drives.
I read them quickly when I'm trying to drive and pay attention.
But you don't like it because he likes Superman more than Star Wars.
I didn't get that far, but what Star Wars movie he's talking about? Last Jedi? He's 100% right.
No, the first two Superman he said were better than the first two Star Wars.
That's wrong.
Yeah, I hate him.
New Hope was a movie I did not appreciate till way later in life, but it's an amazing movie.
He talks about Jaws and Back to the Future. It's a lot of good stuff.
I couldn't pay attention to that because I'd hear terrible. It's bad. I'm going to play it. I'm going to find it and make a video of it. How terrible it was. I hated it. It made me. It was one of the most annoying times that I played a game that I've had in a while. Where I just
it into a text tone.
For someone you really hate.
Oh boy.
Oh God, it's that person again.
People like that don't have my phone number.
That's fair.
Turn it into my text tone.
But we don't text. We just talk through Messenger. That doesn't make any noises.
Well, it's about to change as soon as that's your text tone.
And I'll go last. I was actually torn between whether to make this game shelf or box for a long time. I was very should I do that? I'm not sure how I feel, but the game grew on me. Other than the first 2 hours where I was very upset, I ended up really having fun, especially once I got the infinite SMG and I could actually shoot things and kill things quickly and did not have to wait forever for him to shoot and reload and get arms shoved in my throat, which I do not like watching happen, by the way. That really bothers me.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, that's not what I think. But, so I'm putting it on the shelf. I'm glad that we played it, actually. I didn't think I wanted to, and I really didn't want to in a week when I'm working as much as I was, but I had fun. It's a good game. If you haven't played it, you should try it, because it's strange as hell, and there's nothing else quite like it.
Yeah, so. Definitely do what I did and look up how to get the infinite weapons, because once you can trivialize the combat, it makes it a lot more manageable.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Right. That's a good point.
So, going on the shelf, and yeah. So I have 4 shelves. That is not what I expected when we went into this game.
I kind of figured. And you had asked me, what did you think of it? And I distinctly did not want to say anything until we got on the episodes.
You wouldn't answer me.
Nope.
I don't blame you. All right, and is it Mike? Was it your pick for next week or mine? I can't.
I think it's you.
Okay, I'll introduce what we're playing next week. Next week, we're playing another 2002 game because 2002, Metroid Fusion. So stay tuned for that next week.
Yeah.
That should be good. All right, and Elise, since you are a guest, if you want to plug where people can find you again.
Oh, yeah. You can find me on Twitter at Elise Favis. All
right. I'm going to have to, follow you on Twitter. I don't think I am. So.
and I guess I can bring up that I work at the Washington Post and I'm a reporter. I said this at the beginning, but yeah, launcher.gg is our homepage. So you can check out my work there.
And I want to thank you again for coming on this show. Or thank you for the first time, I think. I don't know if I said it. It was really awesome. You were able to join
this was fun. This was fun.
And maybe not a really weird game, but so.
No, this was a great debut, I think, for me to come on. Yeah. No.
It's a game that if I would have realized that some of the things that were in this game, I don't know if I would have put it on the show first.
Yeah, well,
I forgot that it had sexual abuse overtones and child abuse overtones and everything else.
It's got a lot of problems in that sense, but
it's spicy.
It is. That's a good way of putting it. Yeah.
All right. Again, I want to thank Helena for coming on the show again for another weird ass game.
Thanks for having me.
But hey, next thing come on is not a weird ass game in a couple weeks or a month.
Am I going to be on in a couple weeks?
Ocarina.
Hopefully.
Oh, sweet. Okay. I'll be there.
For a 2-year anniversary episode, we're going to be covering Ocarina of Time.
Oh, honey. If you think that game isn't weird, it's not going to go the way you want.
It's less weird than Majora's Mask.
Yeah. Majora's Mask is a strange, which we also covered on this show, episode 26.
More tree imagery in that game.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the trees aren't trying to sprout out of you, so.
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about how
played it wrong. No,
we didn't talk about how York just did not see the reverse peace symbol as a tree until the very end of the game. Like, dude, it's right in front of you the whole game.
I didn't see it either.
So silly.
I just like the George boss fight. That symbol is on the ground, and York is standing at one end, so it looks like a peace symbol, and George is standing at the upside down to make it like anti-piece or whatever.
Oh.
I like that.
I did not catch that. Okay. And that's about wraps up this episode. I want to thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, we covered lots of other games. Lots of horror games, too. So definitely check those out. We do comics. We do movies. We are currently going through the MCU movies and just released Guardians of the Galaxy not too long ago. So definitely check that out to hear our wonderful ideas of the music in that movie, because we go on and on about that for way too long. Ooga chaka, ooga chaka.
Oh, yeah.
Like
you got to listen to Bill's rant about pina coladas. It's amazing.
He does not like pina coladas. Rain. All right. And want to give a shout out to our awesome intro and outro, courtesy of Bobby, a.k.a. Mike Stoney, from his EP, Bite the Bullet, songs The Cool Kid Squad. So definitely check him out. And definitely check out Elise's Twitter handle, which you just have in there. And also follow her on check out her Washington Post articles. And if you enjoyed this episode, please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. And we will see you guys all next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.